1-0. Jai Shri Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Om Namo Narayanaya. Welcome, everybody, to my 111th stream, live show, podcast. I thought today we would do something completely different. Absolutely different. So it's 4th of July here in the States, and I have the day off from work. And I was kind of inspired by a young man in Canada called Yamsox, or also Yam or Lyam, you might know him under a few names. And he does some live streams on TikTok, and they go out on YouTube, and he just talks. So I thought, in recognition of getting over 100 shows since I started this podcast a little over a year ago, I just hang out. I just talk today. Anything I feel like. I have some things I will probably share, but I have no agenda. I have no lesson. I thought we would just talk. And the chat window is open if you're watching this live. And I don't know if anyone will tune in. I don't know if we'll sit here for an hour or 2 hours or rest of the day. I don't know. I just looked at what I had to do this weekend. I have a long weekend because of the holiday. And I was like, I just want to hang out with you and just talk to you. And for those of you who watch this show regularly, I thought, you know what? Let me open up my life and, we'll talk religion. I'll talk me. You can get to know me a little better. And, yeah. So if you like this, let me know. I'll see about doing it again. If you don't, if you want me to go back to what I was doing, where I have a show with some thing I've planned and maybe scripted or not, but some specific focus, yeah, I'm more than happy to do that. We've got plenty of those ahead. But if you like this, let me know. So before I go any farther, you know the routine. Subscribe, like, comment. You can private message me down below. Would love it if you check out my website. All that good stuff. This show is going out on lots of different platforms, so you can check it out in whatever way is convenient to you. I know it's like you can get monetized on YouTube, so keep it on YouTube. No, I want to go out there, and I want to do what's convenient for you, so I've put it on tons of different platforms. If there is a platform you use that isn't on the list, let me know, and I'll see about bouncing the RSS feed or whatever it's called, bouncing that off of it, if that would help you. Also, tomorrow night, and it's Thursday in the States right now, so tomorrow night I am going to be in a roundtable discussion with a bunch of folks. One is Lyam, aka Yamsox on TikTok, the Bearded Mystic, a few other folks from around the globe. Don't know exactly who yet. Just those two guys I absolutely know, plus our moderator. And we're going to be doing a discussion live over YouTube, and then you can stream it afterwards, of just Hinduism. There's some questions that have been put before us ahead of time. Whether or not we will be discussing those questions or how the conversation will go, I have no idea. You may have watched live things on the Bearded Mystics channel before, and you know he does stuff. Recently, he had a big one that it's a two-parter, maybe a three-parter, and it got pretty heated in the comments. I commented back. I'm like, this could be a TV series. There's a soap opera here with just the comments alone. It's quite heated. And so I don't think this is going to be like that. But there is definitely going to be a bunch of us from around the world, very different points of view. I know one guy is part of ISKCON. If you watch my show, you know what I'm like. Some Advaita Vedanta folks. So it could be really, really interesting. I personally have never spoken to any of these people outside of email, and only really then just like two of them. And I was very hesitant to do this, and then it was just like, okay, whatever, let's do it. And now I'm kind of really excited. So please check that. There is a link down below, and you can see that tomorrow night live at 8 p.m. Eastern USA, or it'll be available after the fact. So check that out. That's a very exciting thing. And if you notice, I did a show yesterday, so this is just like a busy weekend, like lots of shows putting out. Again, if you like what I'm doing here, it's just totally free. Please let me know. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I'm always working on my channel. I'm always trying to improve this thing. I know you may look at like, oh, you have some whatever subscribers, you're not monetized, some of your videos only get 20 viewers, why do you even bother? Well, as I said at the beginning, this show goes out huge. And it's really funny because I might do something here and it gets 20 views and it could get 70 views on Rumble. I don't know. And so you add all that up, and I realized that I guess I'm doing something right. And I guess some of you are listening. So thank you. But also for you, I'm always working on trying to improve this show. Topically, I don't always know what you want to hear, but I try to do things of interest. Keep my interest. I try to do things that are educational, sometimes just interesting to me. I know a lot of you didn't really care about my episode on Gore Vidal, a couple books he recommended, but hey, okay, whatever. I'm changing the view. As you see today, there's a change, and you may have seen a little bit. I also don't talk about music stuff. I now started a separate music channel that's on Spotify, Rumble, and YouTube. If you look for Talkin' Classic Rock and Rockabilly with Aaron Joy. So that's like a whole nother thing. I took that off. I'm always working on this show to try to make it better and a better experience, and so this is just part of that growth. So if you like this, please let me know. This is just like a huge gamble. And as I said, the chat window is open on YouTube if you're catching this live. So yeah, that's the housekeeping stuff. I guess that's all. So hello. Hi. I saw on X today. Oh, I'm on X now. I have always avoided Twitter, X. When it first debuted, it was barely a year old, I got on it. And if you remember, they used to have limits to how long your post could be, and it was pretty short. And I found like it made me sort of ADD. Like I was always like, everything has to be really short, and I was always trying to think of cocky replies, arrogant, cocky, caustic replies, so people would notice me. And my writing career wasn't like it is today. It was just getting started, and I was really trying to push myself. But I was always thinking like that and trying to. I didn't like, after about a month, of how my mind had started to work. And I just didn't like it. And I wasn't really going anywhere, so I shut it down. A little bit later, I tried it again when they broke their barrier for words, for character count, and I tried again. I was like, no, no, I cannot. No. And then recently I thought, well, I'd get on and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't like this. But then I started studying it and learning how to make it successful for you, how to make it work for you. And I think that's one of the problems we often have with like Facebook, which I'm also on, is we just do it, but we don't realize that there's ways of making it workable for us. There's ways of making it a good experience. I remember at one point on Facebook, I had 2,000 friends, and they were friends of friends and musicians and stuff. And I knew 90% of, no, sorry, I didn't know 90% of them. And I'd see feeds coming up of, like, I don't even know who this person is. Oh, they're a friend of a friend of a friend, and they're a musician, and 12 people follow them. I've never even heard their music. And it was such a, yeah, I didn't like it. So I spent a week knocking people off. And I kept only people I knew, only people I talked to, only people who commented, only people who have actually face to face with. Um, and I broke it down. I think I barely have 200 people now, or less than 300. And it may look really sad, but it's a great experience. It's perfect. I know every single person on my Facebook feed. And that's how you kind of have to do these things. And no, it may not be impressive that I don't have 5,000 people. I'm also not burnt out on it. And I've seen so many people who have declared, I'm done with Facebook. I can't do this. I'm burned out. So I finally learned how to make X work for me, is basically what I'm saying. So if you are on X and you want to find me, search Premanand Das Bhagat. You will find me. I exclusively post music stuff, because that's my other YouTube channel that I'm doing, and then Hindu stuff. Now I respond to anything. I'm following all sorts of social things and whatever, um, but I only post and repost Hindu and music. If you would like to follow me on X, that would be really great. Just this morning, I was posting some stuff about the Hindutva movement, which I'd like to know more about, something that is very interesting to me, and the RSS and what that means, because I feel like as Westerners who are Hindu, Sanatana, however you want to label yourself, don't we don't have the Hindutva movement. It's not a thing here. It's not a worry of ours. We're not looking at Hindu nationalism in the United States. That's just not something here. And I think a lot of us don't really get India. And even people who have been in India, sometimes I'm like, wow, that doesn't jive with things I'm seeing sometimes. And then I talk to Indians, and sometimes I feel like there's a little gap between us. And so I'm doing my best to bridge that gap. Actually, there's a book I got when I was in New York back in March. I'm sort of the founder of the Hindutva movement. And he actually wrote a book called What is a Hindu, which I have downloaded. I've been considering reading it here. Um, and this is very interesting to me. I'm very, very fascinated by this whole thing. And I read a book recently on Prime Minister Modi and the RSS. And I know RSS is not Hindu, and Hindutva just means whatever. There's many points of view on this, and they can get very confusing. So I've been trying to figure out those points of view and learn and educate myself. But the book I got was um, Modi's India. It was 100% anti-Modi. Oh my God, it was so anti-Modi. Like, he's horrible for migrants and immigrants, and the only people he cares about are Hindus, but he doesn't care about Dalits, and he doesn't do anything for Dalits. And it's like, whoa, that was intense. And it totally debunked love jihad. It was like, there's no such thing. It's all propaganda. The numbers are whatever. And it just was fascinating. This is a book coming from a different point of view. Um, I think it is. Maybe. And so I just am really interested in this. I'm learning about this. Uh, and so this is something, if you have books in English on the Hindutva, RSS, anything like that, I'm interested in them. I always love book recommendations. This and religious universalism are like the two little things. Like, I don't know. I just get really excited about these topics, and I want to know more about them, and I want to understand them, because I feel like people around me don't really get it. Now, what we have in the West is not the Hindutva movement. It is Hinduphobia. And I believe that is 100% a legitimate thing. I believe the West does not like India. I believe they do not like Hinduism. I believe that our college professors are anti-Hinduism. It's just a dirty third world country. I believe that. I believe they are destroying Hinduism by debunking it or criticizing it or dumping on it, or they're stealing yoga and turning it into garbage. And that bothers me. Now, I do criticize Hinduism. I absolutely criticize it at times. I think it needs changing. I think the caste system is not wonderful. I had someone say to me, who's a doctor, say, oh, the caste system works. It's great. Yeah, you're a doctor in a very huge house with a huge income. Of course it works for you. Does it work for a Dalit? Does it really? Are they enjoying the life that you enjoy? So I think the caste system needs changing. And I think there's things about women in Hinduism that needs changing. We already have. We changed the sati. Is it sati? Is that the right word? For the widow suicide and the widow killing. We changed that. And yes, whatever, there was people going, well, this is in the books and it's whatever and it's religious, but we changed it. And has the world been better for that? Yes. What else have we changed? Child brides marrying off 4-year-olds. Is the world improved because we no longer marry off 4-year-olds like we did? Yes. Were there people or are there people going, but it's in the scriptures that a woman should get married as soon as she possibly can? I've read those scriptures, actually. A woman should get married because otherwise she's going to be a sinner. Okay. Do we wait till 12-year-old? Wait till they turn 12-year-olds and then we hook them up with some guy they've never met? Is the world doing better now because we don't do that? Yeah, I think so. Allowing women to go to college, is the world improving because of that? Yeah, I think so. So there's a few other things I think need changing. And I think we will survive, and Hinduism will survive, and Hinduism will grow. As long as we say, no, 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 I think we're shooting our own foot. So I critique Hinduism too. I do, absolutely. But I'm trying to improve it. I think a lot of Westerners are trying to destroy it. There was an article in somewhere. Did I see this on Twitter, or is it a local thing? I don't remember. Maybe I saw it on Facebook. It might have been a local thing. A guy was doing a yoga class. He was leading it. And he started chanting a mantra or something. If you guys do yoga. Who do yoga, you chant stuff. And two women spoke up and said, please stop that. We don't want any religion in here. You effing with me? You don't want religion in a yoga class? Dude, that's like going to synagogue and going, yeah, do you mind not doing the religious thing during the synagogue services? Or telling a Muslim, well, when you pray, do you mind not praying to God? That is theft of yoga and destruction of the religion. So you know what the teacher did? Okay, I'll stop. If it was me, I would have been like, well, there's the door. I'd like to teach real yoga, not fake yoga. Sorry. And I would have just accepted the consequences because I would have ethically been correct. And that bothers me. See, that bothers me. Or when I said to a girl many years ago, sitting in my living room, she goes, oh, I do yoga. And I said, oh, you're into Hinduism? Oh, no, that's a nasty, dirty, stupid religion. But you stole the stretching exercises from it. Yeah, see, that bothers me. That's our fight in the West. We must be proud. And be proud of our religion and call it out when folks are doing things like that. Not always. I read stuff. I saw something in X also today. Someone was saying we need to go after an actor in a movie because he wasn't portraying like a Brahmin correctly and it was insulting the Brahmins. Like, nah, that's artistic interpretation. I don't care about that. If a book doesn't you know, portray a woman very well? Do we say it's dumping on all women? No, no, no. That to me is different than someone in a yoga class going, no, no, I'm not going to teach religion in this yoga class, because that is a specific religious thing, and you're teaching someone. Watching a movie and just not liking how things are portrayed. No, I that's different. So I don't go into that realm that some people do. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I find it very interesting. Oh, speaking of India, today, and we're just going to bounce around like this, folks. I have literally no agenda. Today, I saw is the death anniversary. Would be death anniversary? I don't know. Of Swami Vivekananda. Now, obviously, on this channel, I'm not an Advaita Vedanta person. I follow the tradition of Ramanuja, and well, we'll talk about that in a second. But I did spend a year practicing with folks at a Ramakrishna Vivekananda Center in New York, the oldest one. I've talked about this on many streams. I have the 9 volume, not just the 8, but the 9 volume complete set of his works behind me on that shelf over there. I have read some of them on this channel, or on my YouTube and my BitChute channel, you'll find where I'm reading the scriptures. Just on those 2 outlets. And I've read some of Vivekananda, and I'd love to someday read more of his stuff. I find it fascinating, and I actually loved reading it. Even when I didn't necessarily agree with him. Part of it was just him speaking in the 1890s, and things have changed. Things have changed a lot. He would be happy about some things, and probably would not be happy about some other things. But that being said, I think Vivekananda is one of the most important religious figures of the last century. Not just that, but he's one of the most influential. And actually, without him, I just I can't imagine what this world would be like. It would be completely different. We may never have seen Swami Prabhupada. We may never have seen so many other teachers like Yogananda or anyone else if he hadn't come to Chicago. I really do believe that. There would still be probably Indian religion or whatever. I don't know if some, and I say Indian religion because if you think about a century ago, it wasn't Sanatana Dharma. Maybe it was Hindu. It was like Oriental religion. I'm using the words at the time. They didn't talk about, well, there was Maha, whatever Zen, and then there was this Zen. No, it was just the Oriental. So I'm being generic in a historical context. I'm not being insulting. Uh, but we probably still would have stuff, but I think it would be so completely different. And I think he opened people's eyes in a way that nobody previously had. I don't even know if there had ever been a Hindu monk in America before him. I've read that there wasn't. I mean, I find that hard to believe, given, that we had Chinese, we had so many other immigrants coming over, but maybe there wasn't. Or maybe there was, but he's just been lost to time. So I think Swami Vivekananda is literally one of the most important figures. He's right up there for me. His speech in Chicago changed things, and it's right up there for me with Swami Prabhupada starting ISKCON. You have to remember, before Swami Prabhupada came here, ISKCON was a very old organization, very much based in Bengal. It was regional. I think they had a group in Germany or whatever, but it was very, very small. Very regional. And he brought it to America, and it went boom. It exploded. And now you can go anywhere in the world, and they know the Hare Krishna chant. He also changed, I think, how we view Hinduism and good and bad in a million ways, but it just radically changed. And it wasn't all him. It was him and George Harrison, who I would actually say is another great historical person, religious person of the last century. One of the most influential religious people would probably be George Harrison. Them going and seeing Maharishi, and then George Harrison recording the Hare Krishna chant, and then putting it into his songs, My Sweet Lord. I have read people going, I heard George, I saw that he did this Hare Krishna album. I had no idea what it was. I picked it up. I'd never heard anything like that. I wanted to know what this was, and it changed my life. When he's singing, "Oh, my sweet Lord," and he's doing Hare Krishna in the background, it changed my life. I've seen that, just like Sergeant Pepper's inspired an entire generation to become musicians, and it did. That is one of the most pivotal albums out there. It wasn't the first. There was other albums that were very influential, but that just sort of opened the doors that were being slightly pushed open before, like the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds slightly pushed things open, and then suddenly um, Sergeant Pepper came out and boom, they just swung them open, and suddenly the world was like, if you look at the formation of rock bands before and after that album, you'll see what I mean. George Harrison was like that. I think he radically changed religion. Another thing, which is a negative event, but they're worth talking about, is Jonestown. Um, I think things were on an uphill climb, and then Jonestown just obliterated all the gains that were made. And I remember Adida said in a talk once, before and after Jonestown, everything changed for religious groups. They sort of, pulled back, went secret. Suddenly now everyone's in a cult when before that was not the case. um, um, and that changed everything, you know? So Swami Vivekananda is right there for me. He's so huge, and I highly recommend reading his stuff. Um, I've read some essays on this channel or YouTube and BitChute. I don't know if they're out yet. I don't think, well, maybe I don't remember. I don't remember my scheduling because I do stuff so far in advance. But I highly would recommend checking out stuff. Like I said, there is an 8-volume set that was made, and then a ninth volume made later of the complete writings, notes from lectures, newspaper articles, letters he wrote. Finding even one volume, it doesn't even matter which one, I think you would love it. Swami Vivekananda was such a down to earth guy, and reading his letters, just his letters, like, I can't find my hat. Where's my hat? Really simple things. I don't think that was in one of the letters, but it's humbling. His stuff is humbling and profound, and he was a young man too, and when he passed away, and he lived a very simple life, and it's just like, wow. It's the same feeling I got when I read about Swami Prabhupada coming to America, and the first year or so when he was in America, sitting in a room with a bowl of rice and no money, and ISKCON's not a thing, and he's just trying to sell his books, and he's got one or two people who show up and help him out. It's just like, oh my God, you're just such a down to earth person, and it's so humbling and inspiring. And Vivekananda for me is just, he didn't plan to become famous. He didn't plan to revolutionize things or start a religion or do anything else. Um, and this is before the age of these super gurus, whatever that we seem to have now. He's just so awesome. So today is the anniversary of his death. So check him out. Absolutely check him out. Um, and if you'd like some recommendations of some things to look for, hit me up. Send me an email, please, and I'll go through my 9 volumes, and maybe I can tell you some stuff that might be good or a volume to look for individually. He's did a few books, I think, like one's Bhakti Yoga, a few others that I know are good. You'll be pleased with those. They're pretty intellectual, though. He was a very smart man, and I think a lot of what I do on this channel is certainly influenced by him. uh, let's talk about that. So sometimes when I do this show, I'm very heated about something, and I know I'm often very critical. Super controversial. I have my lovers and my haters. um, Sometimes I'm probably accused of speaking out of my ass. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, I've been called worse. um, I have a point, though. I want to make you think. I want to make you aware of your own belief system because I truly believe that it's one thing to go around saying, Namaste, I love you, yoga, yoga, yoga. But if you're not aware of yourself, none of this happiness, love everybody really matters. And I think we have a lot of love in this world, but we have a lot of people who are completely bonkers clueless about who they are. I know a woman who goes around love, love, love all the time. All the time. Excuse me, there's a siren going by. We're just going to pause here. I'm going to take a break. Ambulance, you know. Wet my tongue. Okay, so there's a woman I know who is always doing that. If you say a bad word, she'll scold you. She goes to church. She does this. She's very adamant. She is a horrible person to be around. She is. She's tried to get people fired who she didn't like because she did something wrong. She's pissed people off for her mistakes and then went, oh, you need to be fired. Why? They didn't do anything wrong. They fixed your problem. But they had the audacity to tell her she was wrong. She's just nasty at times. I don't like to be around her. She treats people like they're stupid. She treats me like I'm an idiot, like truly an idiot and incompetent. And I'm like, I don't care if you preach Jesus. You know nothing about yourself. So that is my message on this show. Know yourself. There are lots of folks out this world talking about love. People who I don't trust, like Jean DeRuiter, folks like Yamsox, who inspired today's stream, and they're doing it very well. Yamsox, recommend him. TikTok, he's on TikTok and YouTube. I'll put a link down below to his stuff. He just talks and he shares insights and things he's read, and he's just a young man, and he's really cool, and he's really nice, very humble and friendly and open-minded, and he reminds. I'm reminded of him. Sorry, he reminds me of myself. When I was his age, except he has way better hair. He reminds me of myself, both in the good and the bad ways. Knows everything, knows nothing, knows a little bit, and is humble. Yet, I was not humble enough. I didn't take advantage enough like I think he does. I think he is much more open in ways that I wasn't, and I didn't have the internet either. Um, Working hard, doing his thing, finding his way, and it just reminds me of me. Um, and so he spouts love, self-love, and loving others, and he does it very well. You will be inspired watching him. For some reason, God doesn't put those words into my mouth. I feel it. I'm very good. I'm a decent person. I'm not an asshole. Even if you think I can be hard or super critical, I'm not actually that bad of a guy. My girlfriend teases me because I cry at TV shows all the time. Um, I'm very caring. And, but God doesn't put love, love, love into my mouth. Um, People might say, well, you don't have any self-love for yourself. No, I do, and I actually try to keep my ego under control, and I've been called narcissistic, ego, selfish, whatever. I don't think I am, but I try to be aware of that. I try to be aware of how I relate to people. Um, I give people the benefit of the doubt a lot, and I've been burned for it. I talk to people like coworkers and friends of mine. They're like, how do you know that person? Because I talk to everybody. And I'm friendly with everyone, and I trust a lot of people, and I get to know people. But sometimes I think I probably come across a little critical. Like I said, God doesn't put these words in my mouth. Um, doesn't put love in my mouth. It's almost like He's got people out there like Yamsox who are doing a wonderful job. But there's a group of you out there who there's something else that you want, and I'm blessed to be able to help. As I said, I'm not a guru. I've never said I was a guru. I've never said I was enlightened. I call myself a cheerleader, spiritual seeker on the path, just like all of us. Um, if you want to call me a guru, that's you. I don't have control over your brain or your thoughts, but I'm just a guy. I'll be your friend though, and I'll give you whatever I have. I'll give you everything I have spiritually. um, God seems to always have me want to push a little bit to get you to think. If you could think and you become better than this person I gave the example of, I feel like I've done something just as good as telling you to love yourself. I had a woman write to me once. She's a single mom with a young girl, works, and wanted to understand the Upanishads better. Great. I was happy to hear from her. Um, if I said to her, well, just love yourself, would that help her understand the Upanishads better? Not necessarily. I had someone recently write to me um, saying he started his own business, borrowed a lot of money from his parents. The plan was he was going to move out, he was going to help them, and lost it all and more. And thus he's still living at home. If I said to him, well, all you need is love, would that have helped him? And he goes, my parents don't trust me. Would that have helped him? Well, all you need is love. Just love your parents. Then they'll trust you for blowing their money. And no. So God brings folks like that to me, and maybe you're one of them. And I feel like I push, but at the same time, I don't want you all to think I'm a bad guy. So that's why I'm doing today's show, where I'm just talking, and I'm not pushing anything. I don't want to, I want you to, I want to open up a little bit in case you think I'm too hard. I'm not. Speaking of that young man, um, I'd like to send a message out to Aiden. We've been talking on email. This is a fellow, very smart fellow, has big but not impossible dreams of living a dharmic lifestyle and helping his family. It's an awesome, awesome dream. And he's into Hinduism and he loves it and he's got all this. So Aiden, this is for you. This message is for you, but it's also for anyone else out there. It's not just for you. And when I say anyone else, I'd like to send a message to all of you listening right now who, like Aiden, might be young. You might be struggling. You might be facing a wall. And you go, what the hell? What the hell? Like, I'm trying so hard and I'm just getting a wall in my face. I can't break through the glass ceiling. I'm trying so hard to be friends with people and I'm getting burnt. Um, I really love this woman and she dumped me. I want a date. I want to do great things in this world. And the world is not this material thing. It's bigger than this. And you are feeling defeated. Aiden said to me he feels like Arjuna. It's just like, I can't, I don't want to do this. At the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, it's just like, I can't do this. And I wrote to him emails and we've been talking. And I have an email to respond to him, but I wanted to open this up to others of you because I think a lot of you feel defeated. You feel frustrated. You feel just like, how the F am I going to anything? And I know you guys often out there feel this. You feel deflated. Because when I was young, and this is what I want to tell you, Aiden, and everyone else is listening, I felt like I didn't know how to succeed. I didn't think I was going to succeed. I wanted to experience God, and I didn't know how to do that. I was struggling. I couldn't get a date. um, some of you may not be surprised. I know some of you think I'm a geek, but um, when I was young, I struggled. I wanted a girlfriend really badly. Um, I struggled with that. I had few. I did have a dating life. I'm very active and going out and pursuing people, and I don't give up. I wanted to experience things, and I saw people around me who were experiencing things, but not what I felt I wanted. So they were experiencing, oh, we just went on a great holiday. Okay. Oh, I got a great job promotion. Okay. I got a new car. Um, Okay. I felt when I was young there was more to the world than that. No, those are all fine things, Roof over the head is an awesome thing. But there was more to life. So what are you doing on your holiday? I'm taking a vacation. Oh, what are you doing? I'm going to go to a museum. Oh, okay. Or I'm going to go sit on the beach. Are you reading a book? No, I'm just going to sit there on the beach and sleep. Really? You're going to sleep? My thought was, isn't there things to do? So when I was young, I was very much struggling to be successful. And I made some mistakes. I probably was way too cocky for my own good. I probably was also way too arrogant, though I didn't mean to be. Um, but I saw folks around me who were much older who were like, yeah, I just spent 20 years smoking pot and haven't done a thing. And me, I published a book when I was 21 that I spent 2 years working on, and I'd also worked in a museum, and I was writing for a newspaper. And this, I had someone dumping on me. Well, you're so arrogant. I'm like, yeah, you smoked pot for 20 years and haven't done a thing except complain about how you can't get a girl, how your wife divorced you 25 years ago, how you're not in a band and haven't been in 30 years. And you want to move, but you're still in the same house. Like, maybe I sound arrogant, but what are you doing? Nothing. And I would say that. So that was my mistake. I tried to call people out, but they didn't care. So I made lots of mistakes. I made lots of enemies. And I sometimes would push my way to try to do things. I'd get involved, and I was young and had ideas. And often I was trying to get involved in things with like older people, much older people, and they had their ways that were set. And I'm like, because I was a historian, I was like, if we try this, we might get in a different audience. Oh, no, 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 we never do that. Yeah, but you need to fix up the way you do your public talks. You're only getting 30 people. Yeah, well, it's a successful talk. Are you sure? And so then I would do what I'd want because that would just shut me up. And this happened, I had 60 people there. And they're like, wow, what did you do? I said, I did what people want. And there was 30 people who you've never seen show up. And guess what? They came back again and again. You got the exact same 30 people who were there every month and every month. And that made a lot of enemies. And I was successful, and I burned many bridges. I did a theater thing some years ago. I was involved in this theater group I was directing, and I had the biggest turnout of any show in a decade. They actually added a weekend because it used to only do 3 shows. We did 6. It was so successful. And then I did another one, and then they basically threw me out. Well, we need other people. We need other people. Okay, fine, have other directors. I just do it because no one's volunteering. They did it, and the group fell apart because they brought in a director who was a tyrant, who opened the show talking to people in the audience, going, "This is what you should feel, and this is what you should think about what you're about to see." And I hate when directors people and so I was like, I was gone. And I had people come to me later, "Wow, we miss you because you made us successful and you made us all feel really good, and this guy just blew us down." Well, I burned all the bridges. I just like, okay, you guys don't want me, fine. And well, they'd burn my bridge, whatever. So I've been there. And I've had times where I've had no money. I've had times, seriously, like one meal a day. I've had times where my work, I had 4 jobs in 1 year. I couldn't get a good job. I was told by someone, well, you don't work very hard and you're not committed. I've done 100 episodes of a podcast. Does this show someone who isn't committed? And at that time, I'd done 20 years of theater, a few hundred shows. Yes, I was committed, but I'd had a job, minimum wage, that was garbage, and the company was closing up. Was it my fault? I had another job where I got in a car wreck, so I couldn't actually go to work, so I had to get something local. Okay, that was my fault because I got in the car wreck, but yeah, what was I supposed to do? Hitchhike down a highway? you know? So it's I've been there. I've been there and I understand. So when you reach out to me, Aiden, or whoever, and you go, I'm struggling, I understand. And I don't know if anyone else will tell you that. I don't know if any other guru or self help teacher, spiritual teacher will say, I got it, I understand you. And so my advice is don't give up. Do not give up. And reinvent yourself 50 times if you need to. And push people away who are tearing you down, even if they're relatives. Don't push lifelines away. Don't push people who will help you. But if you have someone who's, really being difficult to you, step back. And a woman, when I was a history person doing history work, she would call me up on the phone and yell at me for 45 minutes how I got some little obscure fact wrong. And she was crazy. She said to me, I had written an article. I said her father was the majority shareholder of a business. So she called me up and for 45 minutes said, no, he was not. He owned 51%. 45 minutes. I took the phone, I set it down, and I walked away. And every so often I'd pick it up. She was still going on. 51% is actually majority, but I had limited space. Majority takes less space than 51%. So eventually, after 4 or 5 of these, I just was like, I wouldn't pick up the phone if it was her. I would hang up and I would avoid places she was. And if she came around, everyone kind of knew this. It was like, look, I'm avoiding this person. If she came to where I worked and someone said, hey, so-and-so was here looking for you, I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I'm leaving. I'll be back after she's gone, or whatever, or I'll be in tomorrow or something. And people understood because this was not someone adding anything to my life. So sometimes you have to do this. You have to be willing to put some distance between those who tear you down. And there's a lot of people out there who are going to tear you down. They're jealous of you. They're not doing anything with their life. Maybe they just don't like you. Maybe they think they're better than you. I don't know. There's a million reasons why someone can tear you down. Maybe they're just not good people. But don't let them. Grow some of a thick skin. Don't be an asshole about it. But, use your judgment if you need to. I had a guy say to me once he wanted me to get a TV show for him. He was a piano player. He wanted me to contact some producers and sell this idea for a TV show. Okay? It's going to be a weekly variety show. All right? Sounds great. Excellent. So I just came out at one point. I said, well, what am I going to get out of it? And he says, well, here's how the show's going to go. I'm going to have a theme song. And at the end of the night, I'm going to play piano. I'm going to turn to the camera, and I'm going to give you a big wink. And when I do, that's for you. Because you made that show possible. So you want me to contact producers, none of whom I know, maybe get you a manager of which you don't have, put money out. You want me to fly to Hollywood on my bill, get contracts together, simply so I can go, see that wink at the end of the show? No, that's not to the audience. That's to me. I'm only eating 1 meal a day. I have no money, but the guy was using me. And I went, I'm sorry, I don't have time. I was nice because we had mutual friends. It's like, I don't have time. And I stepped back. Sometimes you're going to have to do that. And don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid. Also, as I said, don't give up. Don't give up the fight. Winston Churchill, don't give up the fight. Don't surrender. Never surrender until you have to. If the ship is sinking, don't go down with the ship just to be righteous. I know too many people who have to be righteous because they refuse to be wrong. Okay, fine. If your ship is like going to take you to court and you're going to jail, I knew a guy who was like, oh, I'm going to fight and whatever. I don't care if you go to jail for 5 years. So you want to ruin your life for 5 years just because you refuse to be wrong? Eventually, a lawyer said, shut the F up. And he got him out of jail time. Literally, this guy was facing a year or so in jail time, and he didn't care. He's going to be right. And then eventually he was like, okay. So, know when to back away. Now, if you're fighting for something, and yeah, I will to confess, sometimes you'll back away and a project will fall apart. I've had that happen to me many times. I've been involved in something, I backed away and it didn't happen. And then you feel bad, but think about, what if it did happen and you got screwed out of something or got screwed over or whatever. So know when to do stuff and know when to pick your fights. Honestly, don't try to pick too many of them. Did I say never give up? I did. But I'm going to say it again and again and again. Don't give up. That's one of the most important things. Don't give up. Be patient. Be absolutely patient. If you're 22 years old, trust me, you have a lifetime ahead of you. Be patient. Things will happen. That's one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give to anyone. And this may be spiritual life, work life, relationships. Just be patient. What was the other thing I wanted to say? I mentioned be willing to reinvent yourself. So I have 75 books out there. They're not all on my website because a few of them are under another name. And no, you will not know. Actually, there's a few other names that I've used because I was publishing some stuff and I was like, this isn't really selling. um, I want to try something else, but I kind of have I have my brand, and I don't really want to do this. And it's something controversial. So I did something under some other names, and I tried a few times. A couple things just bombed. A couple things were very successful. That's fine. Okay. Now, I remember I used to publish poetry books. A few of them have sold relatively decently. The last one I did, actually, into the Bright. But for the most part, they didn't sell. So you know what I did not do? I didn't keep doing them. I didn't keep doing them. I let them go. I said, okay, I'm done being a poet. It ain't working. I'll let it go. I reinvented myself. I wrote a novel 2 years ago, which I'm very happy about. I actually have this year, I've drafted 3 full novels. I need to really work on them. I just haven't had the time or the focus. And I have my second short story idea drafted out. That's an outline. The novels are actually drafted. And I also have another 10-page outline for a story. It's just time. And I decided I was doing fiction, and I was like, okay, I've got in a good place. I need to reinvent myself. I want to do some nonfiction. I want to do some fiction. And it doesn't sell as good, but that's okay. I needed to reinvent myself. I needed to push myself in a new place. Be willing to do that. Be willing to try new things. As a friend of mine once said to me when I was young, experience everything cool that you can. so if and so that's my advice. Comfort is great, but don't fall into comfort because that's how people don't do anything. They're comfortable. Be willing to be a lone wolf. It hurts being a lone wolf. I am a natural Sigma male lone wolf. I've had trouble, though, at times I've been manically depressed. I couldn't get a date. I was lonely. I didn't have any friends. At this point, though, I don't care. But I've struggled with that. And I kind of learned myself, and now I'm okay with it because I know me. And I know this is actually natural to me. And once I realized I was a Sigma male, oh, okay, this is what we are. Oh, now I understand why so many things I say get weird reactions, and I even go to parties early and leave late, which is a Sigma male thing. And I wear brown, which is a Sigma male thing. I got it, and now I'm comfortable with myself. So, but in order to be comfortable with myself, I had to come to the conclusion that sometimes I am a lone wolf. I will not be understood, and I just put my hands up. Whatever. When I was young, that was hard to do. And I wish someone had taught me this earlier. Find out who you are. I thought I was when I was young. And the way I did that was going to the bar every week. I didn't get anything. So that is what I wanted to tell all of you who are out there struggling and who write to me emails and watch my show. And you love yourself. You love Krishna. You're spiritual. You're doing things, but it feels like you're just hitting a brick wall over and over again, and you're not going anywhere, and you're not fulfilled, and something's up. I am here to tell you that you're not alone. I'm interested in hearing your plight. I would be happy if you wrote to me. I will give you every bit of advice I can, and I've just given you a ton of it. You're not alone in your path. Many of us have traveled this path, and we have succeeded. No, I don't live in a huge mansion. You can see it behind me, and I don't own a Ferrari. But you know what? I don't care about those things. I really am not impressed by automobiles. I don't care. I'm living the life I want to live. So this is one of the things you may have to learn as you grow is to not follow the goals of other people. Oh, that person has a swimming pool. I don't need a swimming pool. I would honestly probably never use it. because my grandfather had one, and I would be forced by my mom to use it. But it's not my thing. I don't want to sit by the swimming pool and drink margaritas and just sit there and get a suntan. But I know someone who actually loves doing that. That's not my life. That's not who I am. And when you're following these other goals, you're not following yourself, and then it just the brick walls become worse and worse. So find yourself. So that's my advice to many of you. Hopefully, there's some a kernel of wisdom in there. Um, maybe, maybe not. Totally off the cuff here, not planned or anything. Easier said than done, though. Easier said than done, and that's where the patience comes in. Now, I think religion can help you find yourself. I think Sanatana Dharma can help you find yourself. I think Buddhism can, and other religions too. There's no easy way to do it. I've been asked a few times, will I ever become enlightened? Will I ever realize God? Will I ever, do a bunch of stuff? I have no authoritative answer for you, but I would say do everything you can to prepare the way, for lack of a better term. Do everything you can to make yourself a good person, to make God proud of you. Because even if God isn't whispering in your ear, God is watching. Live your life the way you feel pushed to. Listen to your gut. Listen to what you are being told to do. And I guarantee God will find you. Maybe God is already talking to you, but you're not listening because you're trying to follow someone else's agenda or someone else's goals, you see. Could be something like that. I'm 99% sure I have heard God speaking to me when I was young, and I was so lost that I didn't hear God. I'm honest, I would go to the bar and get drunk and screw around, and I would know better. And I would even go to the bar going, maybe I should just turn around and go home. I don't even want to do this. No, I would do it. You know how I felt afterwards? Horrible. What a waste of time. Horrible. I didn't, yeah. But I would do that because I thought that's what I should do. I was in college. Why not? And then I would have moments where I was like, oh, I can't do this, and I'd stop, and I'd be going to church and whatever, my few years going to church, and all of a sudden, I was like, oh, interesting. I would see things, and then, no, I gotta go I gotta go get drunk again. Someone called me up. So I know I heard the voice, but I was trying to follow what society said, and I didn't know myself, and I was trying to do things, other people's goals for me and my parents and all this, and you have to do this, and you have to think this way, and you have to have this life, and and so I'm telling you, I think you can succeed and you will succeed. And I'm telling you this because I think in many ways, those of you out there have it better than me. You have the internet. You have people like me telling you you're going to be okay. You really will be. And you will find God. I had nobody to tell me that. I went into the church because I wanted to worship God. And I had people going, well, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. Oh no, don't talk about that. Oh, you'll be a sinner. Wait, I thought we were all saved from saying, yeah, but you'll be a sinner even though you're. Well, how does this theology work? Oh, don't even ask questions. And I just felt smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And I was more and more out of touch with myself. Now you have diversity of ideas. We have Wikipedia. We have all this stuff, and I think you have it. Everything is at your fingertips. So I have faith in you. And so if you don't have faith in yourself, just trust me. I do. I have faith in you, and I have faith you'll succeed if you follow and you listen and you get to learn yourself. And you can come to me and I'll help you do this or whatever. We all have a different spiritual path. Um, and sometimes I think me sitting here ranting on about whatever, sometimes I'm sure many of you think that I am 100% going Sanatana Dharma is the end, the light, the way, and anything else is you're a loser. No, I really don't. And I often think maybe sometimes I put out the feeling that, well, you have to do what I do and anything else is wrong. No, it's actually not like that. I'm really not that. I love my Christian friends. I love my Baha'i faith friends. I have a few of them. Um, Jewish friends I love. I love the Jewish religion, actually. I think in former life I was probably Jewish. Um, I have Muslim friends, Muslim lovers, Catholics, you name it. I love them all. And if you are a devout Muslim and you're praying 5 days a day and you're a happy camper, great, great. I have no complaints. But if you're in misery and you're confused and you said, well, Allah is the supreme being who's a tree, and I was reading about A Course in Miracles how the Prophet Muhammad, what? He's not in A Course in Miracles. What are you talking about? That's gibberish. And you're going, why do I feel so bad? And how come doing 5 tarot readings in the last hour, I did do back? That's my problem. It's not that I think my religion is the only path or the right path. I really don't. I think Sanatana Dharma offers everything you can get in every other religion, though. So I actually think it's really good. And I think it's maybe the best path. But it's not the one for everybody because we are all actually different. What I rant against is those who are trying to follow all paths and end up following none of them. That is my problem. Those who are trying to do 50 things at once but not accomplishing anything, that I have a problem with. Those who are trying to do a universal thing which is quite contradictory. Did you know right now it's both day and night at the same time? No, it's actually day. You can see the sun shining through. No, it's actually night. Well, you just said it was day. Oh, I changed my mind. If that's your religion, you don't actually have one. You're making up your own God. And guess what? There is a God. You don't need to make one up. God will connect with you in whatever form you want, kind of, sort of. You don't need to make up your own God. That's what I want. I want you to grow. And so I really kind of push on this channel a lot of stuff that might seem very like, I'm an angry guy, but no, not in the least. And it might feel like I condemn every religion. No, I really don't. Someone asked me on X this morning, they said, well, what's your problem with Christians? And I wrote back, honestly, not what you probably think it is, and not as many as you think it is. I have a master's degree in Christian theology. I have an ex-girlfriend who's a Christian minister. I've dated Christians. I've gone to church plenty. I volunteered in a church in college. At one point in college, I was going to like 3 services a week. Loved it. Read my Christian history. G.K. Chesterton's one of my favorite authors. A Man Who Was Thursday. You need to all read that novel. Excellent novel. I like Pope John Paul II, actually. I've been to a theater festival of his plays that he wrote, and I read one of his poetry books. Very abstract, though. I was very excited to see Pope Francis come in, even though he's now become very predictable in all the ways that I was worried about, but it's nice to see him. So actually, no, I don't have a lot of problems with Christians. I don't believe in it. It's 2 different things. I don't have a problem with Mormons. I think they're good people. I've never met a Mormon I didn't like, but I don't believe in it. You know that? It's that. What I have a problem with is the Ray Comforts of the world, the evangelists who lie and manipulate and make you feel horrible. Just did a show on this 2 episodes ago, episode 109, where Christians play head games. That's what I have a problem with. If you are the truth and the light away, why are you manipulating me and lying about me and being condescending? That's the problem I have. It's not actually Christianity. It's the people who are almost hurtful. And they're negative in a very illogical way to try to get you to do something. They're manipulative. That's the problem. See, I come out and I preach Sanatana Dharma. But I don't try to be manipulative. I'm not always right. Sometimes I have things wrong, and I'm fine with that. But I don't think I'm trying to make you do anything or lying to you. I hope I'm never lying to you. But these people feel like they're lying, and they're deceitful. Ray Comfort's very deceitful to me. And that is the problem I don't like. Now, I love watching YouTube theologians. Christian theologians are awesome. Some of them are so smart. And sometimes they're like, yeah, well, that's a really good argument. I still don't believe you, though. I still don't believe in the Bible. But if I did, your argument is, I'd be right with you. But your first point is the Bible is true. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think so. So I'm already gone from your discussion. But if I was still with it and I believed in that initial point, I think your argument is great. I love watching those people. And I love commenting, going, oh, this is actually a great video. So I have no problem with Christians, and I have no problems with Christians who are good people. I just have problems with people who are, I hate to say the word devilish. That's my problem with Christians. I know it doesn't always come across, and that's why I just wanted to talk today. Just talk. Give me a second here. So yeah, I just wanted to share and give you an insight to what I'm thinking. I know I don't talk about bhakti a lot on this channel because, as I said earlier, I think we all have love. I think a lot of people have love, but God doesn't put those words in my mouth. Doesn't mean I don't have bhakti. I mean, religion is a huge part of my life, but I just, yeah, that doesn't seem to be what God wants for me is to share that. But I'm full of it, and I love God, and I love people, and I really feel helpful. You know, this channel was started because God really kind of told me to read the scriptures. That's how this all got started. Was God said, read the scriptures now, or I'm done with you. That's the story I tell because it's the voice I heard in my head. And so I started reading them, and I realized other people don't know the scriptures. Let me read to them. It'd be like an audio book. I don't do audio books. I don't like them, but some people do. And YouTube is great. I mean, I listen to stuff all day on YouTube. And then I realized I just needed to say more. And then the live show was created. So, this is all for me feeling like I'm doing something with God. And we could discuss theology. Like, do I think everyone should read the scriptures? Are they really important? No, not necessarily. Do you need the scriptures to be enlightened? No. Do you need a guru to be enlightened? I actually no. I don't think so. But I think they're interesting and I think they're worth reading. Kind of like at the beginning of this when I was talking about the Hindutva movement at the beginning of the show. Do you need to know anything about the Hindutva movement if you're living in America? No. But is it interesting? Yes. Does it expand your point of view? Yes. Does it make you get more comfortable here? Hang on. Does it make you a more interesting person? I don't know, not necessarily. Does it open up um um what your horizons? Yes. And I actually think learning about this can change uh, my view on things, and it helps me grow and learn. So that's why I'm reading it. It's just like always develop your mind. Let me adjust my camera here. So move this down a little bit. So yeah. Anyways, at one point, I didn't know if I'd be doing this show on a regular basis. So if you like what I do here, please subscribe. If you like what I'm doing right now, I'll do it again. I didn't know if I'd be doing my show on a regular basis because I'm looking at joining a band. You see my bass behind me. I play rockabilly. I've been in bands before. There's actually a recording on my website. There's a page that talks about my musical history. There was an alt country band I was with a few years ago called Willy Martin and the Woods, and we did a little EP. It's since been taken down because the lineup for the band completely changed. But I have it on my website. You can download it for free. Hang on one second. Sorry, I got something on my lip. It's an Elvis line. He says that in the 6/8 comeback special. I got something on my lip. Um, he and I haven't played in a band since 2019, and I stopped. I had a little crisis and a death in the family, and I then went and took some music classes, some jazz classes, and then right when that was done, COVID, which just messed everything up. So I'm ready to play again, and I want to play. So I put out a warning on the YouTube page recently that this show might not be every week, but so far nothing's panning out. But just a forewarning, the schedule on this may be rearranged down the road. I want to be in a band before the end of the year, playing rockabilly. I'm talking to someone right now about being in a Johnny Cash band because I love Johnny Cash. I love the Man in Black. I just finished reading Marshall Grant's biography of him. That was his bass player from the very first show through 1980, and then came back for one of his last shows. Um, If you go over to my music channel, I talk about that book. I love Johnny, and I got a friend who does he sings and plays guitar and does it solo. And his dream is to do it with a band, and my dream is like, well, that's the type of bass playing I do. Boom shika boom shika boom shika boom shika. That slap bass, where you're doing stuff. Boom chick chick boom chick chick boom. That's what I do. So I'm really hoping this pans out. We've been talking about for a few months. We'll see if we can get it off the ground. If it doesn't happen, I'm just going to look for another band, see if I can either find someone who's got one or form something that's old rockabilly or psychobilly, because I love Reverend Horton Heat. Love Reverend Horton Heat. Um, and, do something like that. We'll see. If I can't, I'm thinking about doing my own music. Wouldn't mind doing a rockabilly album, but I may end up just doing some bass stuff, some more ambient type stuff. Actually, in part of that, I was actually looking for, but I couldn't find. If anyone has a link, that'd be great. Any English translations of the songs by Premanand Swami. So I don't know if I was named after him. The name was given to me by a fellow from Gujarat. We'll let the helicopter go by first, if you can hear that out there, on the way to the hospital. Um, I don't know if the name was given to me because of Pramanam Swami in the Swaminarayan tradition, but there was a Swami under Swaminarayan, Pramanand Swami, who was a writer of songs. Supposedly he wrote thousands of songs that are sang to this day in Swaminarayan temples, which is ironic, being that I'm also a musician. So it may be coincidence, I don't know. And I tried Googling the other day, but I came up with just, yeah, I don't read Gujarati, I don't read Hindi, so I didn't do that. But if anyone knows any links to any of his Hindu songs, I don't care if it's 5 songs or all 1,000 or all four, whatever it is, I'd be really interested in seeing that, because I was kind of thinking maybe that would be interesting to put some music to. Non-traditional music, not like Indian Bollywood or anything, classical, Hindustani or whatever music you want to, whatever, but doing something. But yeah, when I'm not doing the show, I'm often playing my bass, or I'm studying music, or I'm doing something with music. Is just like my passion. I am a music, even when I'm not playing music, I'm still a musician. It's a big part of my life. So this show may come and go in the year ahead in terms of scheduling, but I will always try to do something like at least once a week, or we'll double up like I did a show yesterday and we do it today and we'll have another one tomorrow or something. So just be aware of that. And now I just gave you a little insight into me. So yeah, interesting. Here I am like a religious guy. You can call me a scholar, maybe, maybe not. Um, but certainly I like to think and study. And yet here I'm also being creative. Also, I used to own a record label, and I also did music publishing and music business stuff. I find that really, really interesting. I've had people look at me like, well, oh, you're a business person or you're an artist. No, why? How does that? Why do you have to be one or the other? That's society telling me I have to pick or choose. I have different needs. Sometimes I want to be creative. Sometimes I want to write books. Sometimes I want to just play music. Sometimes I want to be intellectual. Why do I have to pick and choose and be one thing? That just means that part of me is going to be not fulfilled. Um, I remember John Cage, the musician, the composer. He was an expert in, was it mushrooms? Mushrooms. And all that. He even published a book on the different types of mushrooms. This is a composer who did abstract music for ballets. Totally abstract music. Music that's changed the definition of abstract. Um, and he also practiced Zen. And he said that calmed him down a lot. He was a very angry man. And then he was, his retirement age, is a mushroom expert, which was super, super scientific. If you're into John Cage, you're not going to be reading these books. They're just total, was it horticulture? Is that the right word? These are just like totally hardcore Latin words and everything. And people are like, well, what's going on? And he goes, because my mind has different things and my body has different things. And I'm very, yes, I like the abstract thing, which is some wild randomness, but I like the science because that's me. And so I'm sort of like that too. Of course, I could call it, well, you're a Renaissance man. No, I'm not. I just take all these things and I express them. Anyone could be a Renaissance man or a Renaissance woman. Problem is, a lot of people come home and they sit and watch TV for 3 hours. Well, what did I do in 3 hours and what did you do in 3 hours? You watched TV. I wrote a book and I played music. And maybe I did something else. You see? You came home the next day and then you went out to the bar. Oh, well, I kept writing the book. I did more music and then I did something else. You were hungover and didn't get out of bed till noon. I got up at 6 and ran. Finished my book. You see, that's the thing. I want to finish my book and I want to do these things. They're priorities, so I do them. You didn't. And then at the end of the day, I'm fulfilled. All of me's like, oh yeah, we got it happening. And you're wondering how I found time to do it, and you're feeling, oh, I'm so depressed. This could have been connected to what I said earlier, too, about life advice. I just follow my instincts, and I do what I can do. And my life is created in a way where I can do these things. I don't work 2 jobs, luckily. Um, and I'm lucky. And it took a long time to get to this place. I did used to actually work 2 jobs. And other times I'd work 1 job and I would be starving to death. So I have been there. That's where the patient thing comes in. And I have a girlfriend who's supportive of me. She's an ultra marathoner. So it's, she's got a big commitment on that. She's training for a 100-mile marathon. So she understands that. Plus, she works. She's at work right now. Um, so yeah. Anyways, I'm going to do something now that I never do. I'm going to eat something. I have some cantaloupe right here. It's hot, and I actually haven't eaten lunch. So I'm just going to have a couple bites of cantaloupe, and then I want to share something else personal with you. So, I want to share what I'm reading with you. If you know how I talk, you see I'm always citing things. I'm talking about, so I want to share what books I'm reading. Some of you might find this very interesting, and it tells you a lot about me. So if you're interested in reaching out to me, this is the show to find out kind of who I am. I'm actually a very easygoing, laid-back guy. I don't get angry a lot. I like to tell jokes, and I read a ton of books um, at the same time. I will often have up to 5 books. And people say, how do you do that? I'm going, well, I figured it out. I've been doing this most of my life, too. Because it was like when I was in school, I'd be reading something for school, and then I'd also have my own reading, because I didn't like the school book we had to read, so I'd have my own reading. And I just still do this. I differentiate it. So I might read, for example, I just finished reading a collection of poetry by my favorite poet, Lawrence Ferlinghetti, one of the beat poets. And I love the beatnik culture, beatnik everything. I wanted to be a beatnik when I was young. Not a hippie beatnik. There is a difference. I think the hippies wanted to change the world. The beatniks wanted to kind of change themselves. And they're a little bit more gritty. And the jazz thing. I love jazz music, and it came out of this desire. Like Jack Kerouac, I love, and I came out of this. But anyways, I was reading Ferlinghetti. I was reading a science fiction novel. You can't confuse those. I was reading a mystery story. So you have a mystery, a science fiction, and a poetry book. You can't mix those up. Now, if I read 3 mystery stories, and I love mysteries, I will get confused. So I have the system where I have 3 books, and I read them all separately. Now, I'm a slow reader, and then I do this, and books take me even longer, but if I'm really enjoying it, then I get to, spread it out over time. And often what I do is I'll have like a really thick book, like maybe and the mystery story will be really thick, but the book of poetry will be really thin. And then when that goes, I bring in another one, and then that goes, I might bring in one. So that's how I read. And then I also read nonfiction. I'll have at least one or two nonfiction books that are going. Usually I read my fiction when I'm laying in bed at night, the nonfiction throughout the day. And that's how I do it. And I read a lot, but I want to share what I'm reading right now. Some of you might be very interested in this, and it gives you an insight into me and how I think. Let's move some stuff over here. I'm actually finishing up a book right now. Lonesome Traveler, Jack Kerouac. I love Jack, loved him all my life. This is a collection of short stories by him in his abstract style of writing. I'm going to be honest with you. On the Road changed my life. It's the greatest novel I ever read when I read it in high school. It literally changed my life. I was shaking when I put it down. I was like, oh my God, I cannot read another novel again because I've read the greatest. Now, here I am, 47. I don't think that. Well, it still changed my life, but I don't think it's the greatest novel. I actually prefer The Dharma Bums, which was about the events like 6 months or so later. I actually liked that book afterwards. I've also come to grips with the fact that Jack Kerouac is a lousy mentor. He was not really necessarily a womanizer, but he didn't really treat women so well. He used the women he married, and he was an alcoholic and a flunky, and whatever positives he had were kind of thrown away at times. Um, he did a lot of stupid shit, so I've kind of come to grips with that. But then a lot of our mentors in society are actually, when you think about it, Jimi Hendrix, drug addict, whatever. So when you start listing people, you'll see that a lot of them are like, okay, issues. No one's perfect. And I've also been reading his younger days, stories that were published after his lifetime. I have The Town and the City on the shelf I haven't read yet. I was reading a novel of his that was like the first novel he ever wrote when he was a boy. And I've been really, really enjoying the early books. When I was young, I was all about the abstract stuff. But now I'm really getting into the younger stuff, and this abstract stuff is just kind of hard to read. He really influenced my writing, and one of the things that's in this book that's actually famous, it's oh, come on, where are you? He actually has read this on a recording, if I can find it. Oh, yeah, I think he read it. Let me just read something here. I just love these words. I love Jack so much. There's just it's visual and you can see it and it makes you feel something even if the words are crazy. But I love this. This is from an essay called the Railroad Earth. There was a little alley in San Francisco, back of the Southern Pacific Station at 3rd and Townsend, in red brick of drowsy, lazy afternoons, with everybody at work and offices. In the air, you feel the impending rush of the commuter frenzy. As soon they'll be charging en masse from Market and Sansom buildings, on foot and in buses, and all well dressed through working man Frisco of walk up. Truck drivers, ain't even the poor, grime-bemarked 3rd Street of lost bums, even Negroes so hopeless and long left east in meanings of responsibility. And try that now. All they do is stand there spitting in the broken glass, sometimes 50 in one afternoon against one wall at 3rd and Howard. And here's all these Millbrae and San Carlos neat necktied producers and commuters of America and steel civilization rushing by with the San Francisco Chronicles and green call bulletins, not even enough time to be disdainful. They've got to catch the 130, 132, 134, 136, all the way up to the 146, all the time of evening, supper, and homes at the railroad earth when high in the sky the magic stars ride above the following hot-shot freight trains. It's all in California. It's all a sea. I swim out of it in afternoons of sun-hot meditation in my jeans, with head on handkerchief on brakeman's lantern, or if not working on books. I look up at the blue sky of perfectly lost purity and feel the warp of wood of old America beneath me, and have insane conversations with Negroes in several-story windows above, and everything is pouring in. The switching moves of boxcars in the little alley, which is so much like the alleys of Lowell, Massachusetts, and I hear far off in the sense of coming night that engine calling our mountains. Whoosh, I love that. There also was no... Sorry, there was 1, 2 periods in that, and I try to read it like he did, which is like a jazz thing. He used to think, when he spouts it off, it was like a saxophone solo. I just love that. The final paragraph of On the Road, Dean, ragged in a mouth-eaten overcoat made especially for the freezing cold weathers of these, walked off alone, and the last I saw of him, he rounded the corner of yada yada. Old Dean's gone, I thought, and then America when the sun goes down, yada yada. Very last paragraph I have typed up and it's in my wallet. And I've had it in my wallet for almost 30 years, over 30 years. And I've lost my wallet. I've gone through the wash and I've retyped it many, many times. I carry it with me always because it's just, Jack is just like, phew, so huge. I actually made a request last year for Christmas. I want to go see his grave. um, my brother lives in Massachusetts, older than me, and Jack is buried in Massachusetts, and so maybe when we go down to see it, we'll just pull off so I can see his grave. So I'm reading that right now. It's really awesome. I am also reading. Where is? Oh, you know what I'm really loving? Killing Eve, No Tomorrow. This is the second book in the series. I just started reading it. This is the TV show. You may know the BBC series. Um, so I've been reading this and really, really enjoying this. And I'm only going to do the first two books in the series, not the third. It's just like a fun, great adventure story. Also, really easy to read. I read the entire one in a day recently. So, if you want to know what type of fiction I read, that's it. Uh, and James Patterson, the president, is missing with Bill Clinton. Mystery story: the president goes missing. Um, James Patterson is an interesting author to me. He has really short paragraphs, chapters of like 2 pages. I read another book by him, and it was kind of enjoyable. But I'm fascinated by presidential history and anything presidential. And Bill Clinton didn't write this, but you can tell this is written by someone an insider who knows. And so I picked this up. I thought it'd be really cool. So this is what I'm working on right now. It's a mystery story. I love mystery stories. And as I said, I wrote one a couple years ago, right? A mystery story. It's a music mystery short novel that you can find on my website. Hopefully, it's the beginning of a series. And yeah, oh, fascinating book. I plan to start reading soon. William Dietrich's Napoleon's Pyramid. It's a story that takes place of the 2 years that Napoleon was in northern Africa. He tried to invade and take over like Egypt. He failed miserably, went back to France and became emperor. And this is something I'm going to be reading next as soon as I finish the Killing Eve book. I just find that's a fascinating history of Napoleon. And he's a fascinating character. And no, I have not watched the new movie on him, but I want to. And his time in Africa is just like glossed over. People don't know it, but it had a huge impact. It was after his trip to Africa that the mirage was discovered. We had no concept of mirage because Europeans were never out in deserts dying of, you know, dehydration until then, and we didn't really understand Arabic culture either until we went down there. Interestingly enough, it's because of Napoleon that the pyramids started to be preserved. Because before then, it was just pyramids were there. People would take part of it and use it in their house. But the foreigners, Napoleon and the French and the English who went down there, were fascinated by what they were seeing and like, oh my God, this is so old. And so, sort of like the tourist world of Egypt was developed after Napoleon tried to take over. So it's a fascinating, fascinating bit of history, and I'm reading that right now. I do like some of those historical dramas. I plan to be reading Gore Vidal's Burr biography soon because Aaron Burr is fascinating. I'm actually working my way. This will be the last of this series, Dune, House Carino, and then I'll be done. I'll have read this trilogy and then 4 books from Frank Herbert. I'm a huge Dune fan. I absolutely love Dune. I love the original movie. I didn't read the books until a few years ago because I love the movie so much. Yes, I know it's weird, but some of it's awesome. Kyle MacLachlan, I still enjoy seeing. And the new movie is excellent. I didn't like part two though. That was just blah. But I really, really like the new movie. I need to watch the miniseries again. But I love Dune. So this is the House Carino is the third in a trilogy that takes place right before the original series. I read the first floor, and then that's it. And I got this one to go. They're actually really good. Brian Herbert may not be his father, but they're sort of like space operas in some way, but they're really cool. I love science fiction, always have. And then as soon as I'm done with this, I plan to I'm going to read the Foundation series by Isaac Asimov, which I read the trilogy as a boy, but I plan to read it again, and now all the books in the order that they take place. So this is like a big thing for me. I wanted to finish Dune this year and then start up Foundation. No, I haven't watched the TV show. I've heard it's nothing like the book. On my to-do list, when I'm done with the books you just saw, Jerzy Kosinski's Painted Bird. I love Jerzy Kosinski. He wrote Being There, which was the final Peter Sellers book. He has some fabulous novels. I've pretty much have loved everything I've read by him, and I've read all but one and this one. And actually, no, there's one more after this. I have a Cockpit I haven't read, but everything else I've loved. And then We the Living. I like Ayn Rand. I've read all the other novels. She's only done four. I've read them. This is the only one I have left. And then I have a collection of stuff of hers, but I really, really like her. I know all the politics around her, libertarians, etc., but I actually really, really enjoy her because she's different. I think this is an old. Does this smell? I can't smell it. It's an old book, well worn. I like my used books. So this is my reading list for this year. Things I'm working on, and fiction-wise, in case anyone wants to know, I finished recently the sixth chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I have a sixth canto. I haven't gone into the next one yet. I'm working on the last 50 pages of book 4 of the Ramayana, and I am not enjoying book 4. This part of the story where Rama and Lakshmana are with Suragriva and the monkeys, I just haven't been enjoying this. And the translation that I have done, it's a verse by verse, but it's so poorly translated. It's just like, oh. So I haven't been inspired to do that. Even though I know coming up next is Hanuman, and it's all, I don't know. It's parts of the Ramayana. I know people say it's true. It's a true story, and this is the Valmiki's Ramayana, so even if there's other versions, this is the true one, and people say, Rama was real, but this is just such a poorly written story that I can't believe God can't write. God can create Hemingway and Jack Kerouac, but it's what I read by Jack may not have made sense to you. This makes even less sense at times. It's just purely horrible. Now, that might be a translation issue. It's just someone couldn't translate it. Which means someone out there, I'm calling you, wherever you are, please retranslate the Ramayana. Now, there may be a verse translation that's better, and there's actually supposedly, a few hundred versions of the Ramayana, though some people don't like to talk about that. But the one I'm reading is just, it's hard. And when you see videos on this channel, it's from that version, and I cut out a lot. I do a lot of editing so you people can have a more enjoyable experience, and I wear my voice out doing it. In my own world, though, I just started this book. You may know Yeonmi Park. She is a Northern Korean girl who came here to the States, escaped via China, where she was a sex slave, and came here and speaks about how Americans on one side of the aisle, promote everything she tried to escape. And it's like, what? And this was given to me by my parents. This is the story. This isn't the book that tells about her life in North Korea, which is fascinating. North Korea is fascinating. But this tells about her life in America. And she's like, yeah, all these people in Columbia University are promoting the exact things that I had in North Korea that I wanted to get away from. Like, what the hell? And it's fascinating. She's like, what do you do with a 21-year-old who knows nothing about anything, didn't even know about race, didn't know about anything, and you just plopped them down into New York City. And they promote everything that you hate, that you try to escape. It's an interesting little book. When I'm done with this, I'm going to show you what I plan to read. I already showed one book at the beginning, and that's the story of the Hindutva movement. But I'm looking at Eliot Ness and the Mad Butcher. Do you know Eliot Ness? He was the one who brought down Al Capone. And the Untouchables movie, it's about Eliot Ness. I've read Eliot Ness's book. He's such a fun character. When I saw this is his final case. Now, no one knows anything about Eliot Ness outside of the Untouchables, either the TV show or the movie with Sean Connery and Kevin Costner. I forget now. But he is such a fascinating thing, and this is it. So this is actually one of the books I plan to read next. After that, I'll show you. I always have a music book going, and this is something you may not realize about me. I always have a music book going. I just got this in the mail. This is Geezer Butler's memoir, brand new. It just came out, autographed. Geezer Butler was the bass player of Black Sabbath, and he was a huge influence on me when I was younger and playing in metal bands. I'm looking forward to reading this. And I have Crazy Man Crazy, the story of Bill Haley. If you know the song Rock Around the Clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. He did that. He's an old rockabilly guy. His bass player is an influence on me, Marshall Lytle, and so I'm reading that. He played with Elvis. You can see where they toured together. So I always have a music book that I'm reading, and I don't talk about it on this channel because it's not really relevant. But you know, I always got that. I always got some history books, some political books like this. So if you wanted to know more about me, there you go. My reading will tell you so much about me. And that's why I'm doing this show, is to just sort of, share who am I, who is doing these videos, what's going on. I've done now 111 videos, and you only see one side of me. So I just wanted to talk and just share that other side. Just the normal guy. Like I said, I'm not a guru. I'm not anything like that, and I don't think of myself as one. I just have lots of interests, and I want you to have a good life and to experience things, and yeah, uh, yeah. Also, I am a huge Doctor Who fan. I mentioned this in an earlier episode. And I'm always reading the books. I've been watching Doctor Who since I was 11, and I'm now 47. I've seen it go through many changes. And yes, I actually like the new Doctor. I think he's really cool, but I did not like Jodie, not because she's a woman, but because her acting was all over the place and the stories were crap. But I'm not so thrilled by the stories these days, but I actually really like Nikuti. The gay thing means well, I don't care. And they've done some things. I think he's a little overly emotional, but I'm actually kind of enjoying a little bit of his stuff. I've watched the whole season. David Tennant's return, I did not like. I don't like the new stories. The writing is not good. I didn't like Jodie's stories. I loved Peter Capaldi. And I grew up with Tom Baker, and we won't go into Doctor Who, but Doctor Who is like really big. I have like 400 or 500 of these novels. So that's like a huge thing with me. I think a lot of my youthful personality was influenced by watching Tom Baker and his scarf. And I bought a red scarf because he had, later he had his red scarf, and I've always been sort of anti-violence because Doctor was anti-violence. It's interesting how your influences do shine through you, particularly for me. Maybe I'm just a mimic. Like on this channel, sometimes I feel I'm a little forceful. And I don't mean to be. I don't mean to be mean and rude, and that's why I just want to talk today, you know. Uh, but I watch videos like from Sri Dharma Acharya, who is very, he says it. He doesn't pull punches. He isn't there to baby you. He isn't there to tell you just love yourself. No, he is honest. And I really admire that more than someone else who's just sort of whatever. And, I watch David Farley and I watch other people talk, and I think I pick up a lot of that. A lot of my approach comes from watching them. Like, I really respond to the people who are just honest with you. And, so that's my approach on the station, but I wanted to also open it up today and just be honest about, hey, this is who I am, and this is what I enjoy doing, and get to know me a little bit in ways that I don't share on this show. I talk about music or whatever off and on, but this is just me riffing off the cuff today. No agenda, no nothing. On a very warm 4th of July. Might go to the fireworks later. They're in the bay, depending on when my girlfriend gets out of work. I don't know. Hang on one second. Speaking of books, I'm in the process of recording all 108 Upanishads for this channel. They'll be on here on YouTube and also on BitChute. I just recorded the other day number 63. it's kind of profound to me that I've done that many. Though I've left like the really, really long ones to the end. So what I'm about to go into is the big stuff. We'll let this helicopter go by, and I have a long weekend, so I'm going to be recording some more. They won't all be coming out. It's going to be a long time before all 103. Sorry, 108. What did I just say? I don't know. 108. I'm going to record them all. If I do nothing else with my non-live shows on YouTube, I will record all 108, even if it takes me years. Because I know so many people, they know the Upanishads. They've seen a few of them. They've read a few of them. They can't find all of them. And I found them. Don't ask me where. I don't even. Yeah, I found them. Multiple translators though, and I do have a document that if you privately message me, I will email it to you. Huge document. And I printed it out. I had it printed out so I could then access it. I forget where I got it though, but I will happily email it to anyone or Dropbox it to you. But it took me months to find it. I had it. I lost the document, and then it took me months to find it again. As far as I know, all 108 have never been published in English. Published. Yeah, I mean, they're on the internet, yes, but they've never been put into book form. So to find all of them is something. So I decided on this channel I will read them as my gift to the world. So then you can get on my page and you can see, oh, there they are. And I number them too. I don't read them in any order. They are in an order, but I don't read them in that order. But I do number them, so you'll see, oh, there's 1 out of 108. There's 68 out of 108. So you will see at the very end, it goes 108 out of 108. You don't have to take my word for it. You'll be able to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and see that all 108 are there. And this is going to be my gift to the world, is to give you these Upanishads in English. Some translations are better than others. There's a few that I did my own translation of, just a couple. And that's going to be my gift to the world, is to have this where you can all just get right on my channel and find, they're there. They may not be able to be found in print because I've run into other people who want them and they can't find them. But I will give them to you in a verbal form. Hopefully my reading is entertaining. But it's going to be a while before I do that, because it does take me a lot of time. And then to organize some of the longer ones get hard to organize. And I have to redo videos. So it's going to be a while, but we will be getting there. So please, if you're interested in what I do on this channel, and you want the Upanishads, subscribe. Like I said, this will be on BitChute and it'll be on YouTube. That resource will be out there. I think the Upanishads are very interesting and very important to read. Of all the things out there, they might be some of the most important. I think a lot of stuff that we do and we believe in Sanatana Dharma come out of the Upanishads more than any other book, maybe. Yes, other books are influential. I'm not saying that, but I think they're in a category all themselves, and you always see people reference, well, this is in this is in that, this is in that here. And even if they're not referencing the Upanishads, I think there's a lot of beliefs we have that have stemmed from them. So I think these are well worth reading. Now, there is technically more than 108. I think there's 300 something, depending upon how you define them. So some people say, I could sit down and write a book now, and if I call it an Upanishad, then it becomes one of the Upanishads. Others say, no, it's not like that. Others say the Vedic canon is kind of closed, but kind of not. Maharishi can't come out with a book and go, here's an Upanishad, and that's a Vedic text. People say no. There are some Upanishads, though, that are actually, the reason they're included, it's because they're actually combinations of multiple Upanishads. So it's like they found an Upanishad in Thailand, and it included part 1 from the Sarasarva Upanishad, and then part 3 of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Whatever. And it is called the Uttara Brihadaranyaka Sarasarva Upanishad, It's not actually another Upanishad. It's like the best of, the greatest hits of, or whatever, or that's somehow that survived a journey across the ocean, and so that's on that list of like the 320. But we already have both those Upanishads. It's not complete, so we don't include it as 108. So it's quite a list, and I found all 320. There is a list out there. There's a website out there that has all of them. It is mind-boggling. So I'm not just making this number up. I'm not regurgitating it. Sri Dharmacharya has mentioned this. I'm not just copying him. I have seen it. But they're all in Sanskrit or Hindi or something. They're not in English. So you click on it, it's like, you're killing me, Smalls. It was so disappointing when I found that. And then I started reading about it, and it was like, oh, okay, this is what a lot of them are. But it's like, oh, it's sort of like, as I said at the beginning of the show, I'm looking for Premananda's stuff. Um, and trying to find his songs in English. So I have a question that has come up in my chat from Angelo. Thank you for watching, Angelo. Which is your preferred Bhagavad Gita? I recently got the Srimad Bhagavad Gita Sadhaka Sanjivani, the Swami Ram Sukdas Gita Press version, the Raghunathandra and Chidhavananda will be next to compare. I am sorry to mispronounce that. Um, my glasses are bifocals and I'm kind of looking off. So that's a great question. There are so many versions of the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know if you've ever gotten on Wikipedia. Uh, you could just, it's mind-boggling how many versions have been done of this. I actually didn't realize how many had been done. My elephant here didn't realize how many had been done. Um, and I haven't even heard of most of them. So, it's a great question. Now, there's two ways of answering this. One is I can take your question at face value, which is my preferred version, or I could take the question and go, which do I recommend? So, I'm going to try to answer maybe both in the same go, because it is an awesome question. So there's the way I approach the Bhagavad Gita is you have the Bhagavad Gita, and then you have versions like the Bhagavad Gita as it is, with purports and whatever, commentary, whatever. You know what I mean. I'm actually rereading Bhagavad Gita as it is right now, matter of fact. I'm not quite halfway through. I'm actually rereading it. It's something I started in January, and I read like a chapter or two, and then I put it aside for a bit, and I read chapter two. It's like the third time I've read it. Is it my preferred version? No, it's just the only version I currently own. um, I originally read the Bhagavad Gita just the Gita with no purports, and now I'm going back and I'm looking at the purports and reading it all together. I can't read the Gita purport in any version because I lose the story. And when I first read the Gita, I did that. I was going back and forth, and it was as it is, and I gave up. I had no idea what the story of the Gita was about. It was just mind-boggling. And then I went back and just read the story, and I was like, oh, I got it. It's wonderful. And now I can kind of do a comparison. So I think, though, when you get these commentaries and purports, I know the Ramanuja's version, which I haven't read but I've looked at, is the one advocated by Swaminarayan, and there's lots of them with purports. Sometimes I recommend a version that is not with any commentary. Because, Ramanuja's commentary is great, Swami Prabhupada's is great, Muktananda's is great, whoever. But sometimes I think the category, the commentary takes you into other places and may not really be. I don't know. Sometimes I find it distracting. I know that sounds kind of insulting, but that's kind of how I feel. or sometimes it's giving us ideas that, depending upon our view of the teacher, might be pulling us away from the story. And sometimes I feel like the Gita doesn't need a commentary. If the Gita is such a great book, do we need that commentary when we read it? Not necessarily. So my preferred version is one without commentary. I just want that beautiful story as it is, and it's a rich, rich story. So I'm going to tell you some I don't like. There is a version out there by Signet Prince, but I don't remember who did it, and it is a poetry version. It's horrible. No, it's not horrible. It reads very nicely, but I found everything was smooshed into being poetic verse, and I'm not really a poetry guy anymore, and I found it hard to read, and it didn't work for me. It just didn't work. So I don't like that. I like a verse by verse translation like the Bhagavad Gita as it is, or any other version that just goes verse, verse, verse. That's the way I like it. But there is a really interesting version out there by Swami Mukundananda, the guy in India. Oh no, did I just crash something here? Um, no, sorry. I think I just accidentally hit the wrong button, but we're still broadcasting. So let me just look at, is it Mukun? I just recommended him the other day to somebody. The dark haired guy, former engineer. Yeah, Mukunda Ananda. Big smiling guy. He does the really classy little videos. He does the JK Yog, founder of JK Yog. Um, he did a version that's prose form. It reads like a novel, so it breaks away from the verse. That is actually really interesting to me as a writer. And when I was sitting down and I read it, I thought that was a really great version. I really liked it. It was very accessible, and it flowed really well. Like I have a version of the Srimad Bhagavatam that is in prose form, and I think I would probably recommend that to anyone over some of the others. So yeah, yeah. JKO. Is he in Texas? I had no idea. I'm getting the comment here that he's in Texas. I have no idea where he is, but I catch him on YouTube every so often, um, and I I recommended him the other day to someone. I thought this guy's really good. I have no idea. Is he touring right now? I just think I think his version is really good. I have not read, but I've heard of. Sorry, there's a hospital nearby. 4th of July, I guess people are already drunk. The versions you have mentioned here, I've seen, but I've not personally read. So I can't comment on those. But your comment says we'll be next to compare. And you are on a very interesting journey, Angelo, if you are reading versions and comparing them. I have a Christian friend who did that with the Bible. She has an underlining project, so she's got like, I don't even know how many versions of the Bible. I think at one point she had like 30 of them and was underlining things that compared and contrasted. This is pre-internet. Um, and nowadays I think there's actually a website you can do this. And she was organizing things. Uh, just hang on, typing something here, and to find sort of like what's the best version of it. I kind of was doing something like this a few years ago with I forget what it was. Oh, it was Chaitanya has those eight. I'm blanking right now. The eight little verses credited to him, and I found like every version I could get, and then like created my own, and was researching stuff in dictionaries and trying to create like what is the best version of this. I didn't do anything with it; it's long gone. I didn't keep it. Um, but but if you're doing this, that is a very interesting thing. Um, Oh, okay. So J.K. Yog has free daily Zoom classes every morning and evening. His temple is in Texas. I did not know that. I know him only from India. I did not know. I knew he had stuff going on here in the States, but I had no idea that he was here. I've not really delved into him that much. Um, that's really cool. I like the guy. I I just a little bit of I've seen of him online. I've been really impressed by him. I think he's very down to earth and he has a good message. And that's really all I know of him. I don't know. I don't know much more, but I like his vibe, uh, and I think he's really cool. He looks like a really cool guy. I haven't read any of his books though. I don't own any, but I think he's really cool. I think he's. I'm often critical on my live show about gurus. There's a lot of fake gurus. There's a lot of questionable gurus. I think Mukundananda is one of the better ones. I think he's a good one. I think he's a really good one. I might be wrong. I don't know. I don't know that much about him, but from what I've seen, I really like him. As I said, I just recommended him to somebody the other day. Didn't know he was here. That's cool. He's in the States, and the weather's extremely hot right there, right down there. So, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I see. Here it is. I'm on Wikipedia right now. It says J.K. Yog. He's the founder of J.K. Yog, India, Radha Krishna Temple, Dallas. Oh, cool. So I'm on Wikipedia for anyone who wants to know. The Radha Krishna Temple in Dallas, Allen, Texas, I, near Dallas Fort Worth. I like Texas actually. Great food. San Antonio is one of my favorite cities. If I didn't hadn't moved to New York, I probably would have moved to Texas at some point. It opened up in 2017. Okay, wow, that's really cool. I know there's actually, yeah, wow, that's really cool. If anyone wants to check that out, Wikipedia, maybe I'll even put a link down below. Looks like lots of stuff is happening. If you are in Allen, Texas, don't know if they do stuff online. Well, thank you very much, Angelo, for sharing that with me. I will have to investigate that further. Anyways, that's my thoughts on the Bhagavad Gita. I would really think there's so many versions out there. Some are good, some are bad. I think whatever one resonates with you. My only concern is if I see someone. I think there's some modern versions which are a little iffy. I do tend to be skeptical. I think there may be some translations which are questionable. I tend to prefer things which are a little more historical, but I understand those are also sometimes harder to read. Uh, I don't know. Um, I've never looked into it. I've never looked into all the different versions. Oh, here it is. I'm on Wikipedia, and it lists different translations for the Bhagavad Gita going back from 1785. And it just goes boom, 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 boom. All sorts of folks have done it, all the way up through 2000. The last one on this list is 2023. There was a reissue, a study version from Christopher Isherwood and Swami Prabhavananda. Christopher Isherwood I actually really like. He's the guy that wrote I Am a Camera, which became Eliza Minnelli, Cabaret, Broadway show Cabaret. This is based on like 2 pages in a novel by Christopher Isherwood, and I've read the novel. He's a great writer, actually. I really like Christopher Isherwood's writing. So that might be a very interesting version. I haven't read it though. I've seen it, but I've never actually read it. And I see in 2013, here's the Swami Mukundananda version, Bhagavad Gita, the Song of God. George Fierstein, Swami Laura Patton, Swami Dayananda. Swami Dayananda. There's so many versions out there. Paramahansa Yogananda's got one. Um, Here's one I see a lot. The Eknath Esvaran. That one seems to be very popular. It seems like a lot of folks I know go for that one from 1985. I've run into that version so many times for some reason. I haven't read it. I think maybe it's just because it's readily available. Maybe that's why when you go to the bookstore, that's the one that's sitting there. Hindu sections in bookstores are pretty crappy around here. And then I've also seen people say, well, Bhagavad Gita as it is like 1,000,000,000 pages long, and that's scary to them. So I think that might also be it, is when you have a book of 900 pages versus this other one. I don't know. Is there some bad translations out there? Yeah, there probably is. But you know what? On this, I'm going to refer to you, sir, and your little adventure of discovering the Bhagavad Gita. Hopefully, I've answered your question in a very long, rambling, roundabout way, which is exactly how I talk normally. So, nothing new there. You asked a very interesting question, and you are on a very interesting journey if you are comparing them. I'm only going to say if you do or don't have a website or a YouTube thing, get one to share the world. Um, if you're doing this, this is fascinating to compare and contrast and no, get a YouTube page going, get a blog going, get something to share your thoughts with others, because I know people look at this, they don't know where to start. And so please share your stuff with the world, or find me and I will find a way to share it. We could even talk. Um, we can get on Zoom together or something if you want, or a chat or whatever. I'd be more than happy to do that because I think you have a really great journey here, and you'll be an expert on this. I mean, expert, whatever is a loaded word, but you're going to know this text. And that is one of the things I've discovered reading it over and over is, yes, the Bhagavad Gita is great, and people comment upon it, and they say this, but when you read it over and over, you start to find new things. I'll tell you, the last time, this current time, while I'm reading it, I found I loved chapter 1 and 2. I know that's not what you hear. I came to a realization that chapter 1 and chapter 2 to me felt like the most important chapters. I know, I'm probably crazy. The reason is because, yes, chapter 1's sort of setting the stage. So that's not as important. I'm just I'm grouping it in with the second one. But the second chapter is really where Arjuna is being told to do your duty. This is your duty. Okay, this is what you need to do. So says Krishna. Okay, we know that. And then, from then on, we know where the book goes. But if you think about that, there's a million ways Krishna could have started this conversation. He could have been like, well, I'm going to tell you what to do, and you're going to listen to me because I am God, or you're going to die, or he could be like, I'm now going to tell you what you're going to do, and you're not going to argue. No, he goes, you're going to do your duty. And I've talked about this on other live shows. I think that is so profound because I think a lot of us don't know our duty. I don't think we do. I don't think I was talking about it earlier in my show about listening to God, how when I was young in college, I didn't listen to God. I would do very stupid things. I would go to the bar when I knew I shouldn't, and I'd waste my time when I knew I shouldn't. And then when I stopped going to the bar for a while, I'd see things that I didn't see before, but I was so drunk. Normally, I didn't see those things, or I was so into the party thing, or I was following someone else's ambitions or goals or what was supposed to happen in my life, and I just lost to myself. And I didn't know my duty. I didn't know my path. I wasn't listening to myself. I didn't know myself. And, I think that's just so important for us. I think that's one of the most important lessons for many of us is just to learn what is our duty? Who are we? What does God want us to do? What are we meant to do in this world? I said at the beginning of this talk today, I said, there's a lot of people out there who do YouTube talks, or I was inspired to do today's show by a young man named Yamsox he's on TikTok and does multi-hour talks. He's in Canada. And he just talks about love and quotes this. And it's just very, very, very open. Whereas I don't do that. I never talk about love. I can be a little cynical and critical on this show. And I think sometimes I scare folks away. But I said at the beginning of this, God doesn't put those words in my mouth. He gives me other words to say, to reach out to other people with other things. I'm just not going to sit here and for 2 hours and go, just love yourself. You want to know which version of the Bhagavad Gita is best? Just love yourself and love your neighbor and all is one. I don't say that. That's not what I feel like God is telling me to do. That's not my duty. And if I said those things, I feel weird. I wouldn't even do the show. So I have a duty that I'm following. I believe it's very personal. We all have our own duty. But I don't think a lot of people they don't know what it is. And I think that is such an important thing, because when we know ourselves and we know our duty, I think God is talking and we're listening. And do you understand what I'm saying? It's this intertwining mesh, But it's so important. I've seen people talk about the Bhagavad Gita and they're like, oh, well, the opening chapters just talk about the army, but chapter 6, rah, rah, rah. And I'm literally like, stop. You just skipped the best part. What good is chapter 16 or 15 or whatever chapter, or what good is the realization of God to Arjuna? Oh, sorry, not the realization. What good is Arjuna's realization and seeing God if Arjuna isn't going to do his duty? What good is knowing anything that comes in those chapters if Arjuna's be like, yeah, sure, I ain't fighting today. Thanks for the lesson, but I'm not fighting. It would be what good is any of that? But I think we all want that realization of God. We want to see God. Who doesn't want to see God, right? It's right up there with meeting George Harrison or somebody. You want to meet your superstars. And we want to get to that chapter, but the problem is we want to skip to that chapter. We want to skip the hard part, and we don't want to do the work, and we have to do the work. I think we have to do the work, and then God will see this and grant us whatever. But we should do the work. And we skip the little stories of like, what is my duty? Who am I? So I think like chapter 1 and chapter 2 are the most important things we can learn in the Bhagavad Gita about our spiritual journey. You know what I'm saying? It's just the last time I read it, I was just like, oh my God, the secret is right there. This is it. These 2 chapters, like, wow. Wow. I actually at one point tried to write a study guide on the Bhagavad Gita, and I hit these 2 chapters. I was like, oh, and I kind of just gave up at this point. I'm like, this is it. This is all I want to hang out with, and it was fun. And I didn't really I don't know. I was trying to do something, and it didn't really pan out in my head, and I lost interest in it. But I just think those early chapters are really great. They're part of this amazing journey, and that's what makes this book so good. It is a journey, and it's like if we're reading Dune, yeah, this is the third book in a trilogy. Do I skip the other two books? No, I'm going to read them in order. It just it means so much more, but we don't always want to do that. We didn't want to skip over them. Um, So yeah, that's like a whole bunch of thoughts on the Bhagavad Gita, which I don't talk about a lot on this channel. Believe it or not, because I think we all know the book. I think we're all very familiar with it. And you mention Hinduism to somebody, and they immediately think of the Bhagavad Gita, or they'll say, a friend of mine. I just reunited with a friend from high school, 30 years on, and she's like, "Oh, I've read a few versions of the Bhagavad Gita." We we. We don't talk about the Srimad Bhagavatam, though. We don't talk about the other books, the Vedas. I have the Rig Veda sitting on my shelf over there. I like to talk about those books too, to remind us that there's more than just the Gita. The Gita is great, but there's more than the Gita, and together we get all this learning. Anyways, well, that was a wonderful question. Thank you so much for that. Um, yeah. So as I said at the beginning of the show, I'm actually in a roundtable tomorrow night. If any of you are familiar with the Bearded Mystic YouTube channel, he will be hosting this live roundtable with myself, himself, um, Yamsox. Uh, we've got a organizer. There may be a few other people in there. Hare Krishna. And we're just going to be talking about Hinduism. It's 8 o'clock tomorrow night Eastern Time, but you'll be able to see it after the fact. There's a link down below. So if you see in the description, you'll see Roundtable. Um, that's tomorrow night. It's I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be very, very exciting. It's going to be awesome. Please tune into that. I think I'm going to be taking it off of his channel and then sharing it on mine too. So you can come here, but that's the Bearded Mystic. Like I said, link down below. Um, just an open conversation on Hinduism. I don't know what's going to happen. The last time he did this with someone, it was a crash and burn situation. Slander word was brought up, and so I'm hoping. I don't think this will be heated like that, but it could be really cool. So check that out. That's coming up tomorrow night. I was very happy to be invited to be a part of this from some very diverse points of view. So yeah. Um, I have sat here for 2 hours, 12 minutes, and talked. uh, First time I've ever done a show with no real agenda. I mean, I had things I probably knew I would talk about, but just off the top of my head, just sharing me, just who I am. Um, Hopefully you've enjoyed this if you've been hanging out. I will be going back and putting chapters in, so if you tuned in, it was like, oh God, I can't sit through this. I got it. I got it. If you like this format, if anything I've said has been of value to you, maybe I'll do it again periodically. We can just talk. Um, if I've said some things that have piqued your interest or you want to know more about or questions or whatever, it doesn't even have to be about Hinduism. Please feel free to put a comment in whatever forum you're looking at. I don't really read the comments so much anymore. I'm just so busy, and this channel is in three places. Plus, I have another YouTube channel on music and just things I do. So, email is actually really, really good, because it may take me months before I might see your comment, and I'm sorry about that. When I was responding to comments, I just couldn't do it, and then discussions would happen, and I just couldn't keep track. And YouTube has this weird way of comments coming in, and I don't know. And there's the nasty comments. I'm just like, I'm not going to waste my time arguing with you because you're an SOB. Um, so hit me a private email. That's the best way, and then we can just converse. Find me on Facebook if you want. Find me on X. I will respond to comments on Facebook and I will respond to comments on X. And if you take the time to write me an email, or whether it's Facebook or X, or I'm on Instagram too, but there's no Hindu stuff there, um, I will respond. So feel free to reach out to me. I think at this point, I'm going to go have lunch. It's 3:30 in the afternoon here in Portland, Maine, and it has actually also gotten warmer. 4th of July, as I said, the sun is shining. I went out running this morning. I know I've mentioned I'm a marathon runner. I'm going to be doing my second marathon in October. I did it 2 years ago, and here I am 47, and I want to do it again. I've done, this will be my seventh race, though I do plan on doing a half marathon sometime in the summer. So it would be race number 8. My girlfriend is training for a marathon 2 weeks later, 100-mile marathon. She's an ultra hardcore runner. She's run so many races too, we've lost track. 100 miles in 30 hours. I'm her pack mule on that one, her Sherpa. Basically, I'll just have lots of books and sitting there and be reading all day, and she'll come through and you know uh, so that I did that this morning before I sweat to death. Thank you, Prop Station, for your comment. For those who are not seeing the comments, it was nice to hear your thoughts on the Bhagavad Gita. Great talk, and I'll check out the Bearded Mystic. Got you emails. Thanks for all the replies, mate. You're very much welcome. It's just off the cuff. Anyways, I'm gonna bring this to a close. I'm gonna say a few things. I love book recommendations. Obviously, I talked about my books. I do read a lot of stuff that are recommended to me. So if you have book recommendations, even maybe something that you want to read but haven't, feel free. I bought, God, what did I buy recently? Oh, Snakes in the Ganja, Breaking India 2.0 by Rajiv Malhotra, who I have like 3 other books by him. And so I just bought that recently. Someone had recommended it. I'm like, yeah, okay. I also recently bought Stephen, I can't see his last name from here, Stephen something, the book God is Not One. It's anti-religious universalism, and that's my thing. So, God, I have another one here. I was just given a book on Canto 5, the Srimad Bhagavatam, matter of fact, by Radhakarana, his 3rd book on this. So I'm always interested in book recommendations, partly so I can read them, but also, I love sharing them here with others. So if you have things, please share, and then I can send them out in the world. Music. I think the only thing I didn't talk about today was I have a soft spot for Bollywood. And yeah. Please check out that Roundtable tomorrow. There'll be another. I'll be streaming again. Weekly shows here. And thank you sincerely for joining me on this little adventure today, and this adventure 110 episodes before this one. I had a plan. I'll be honest with you. When I first live streamed, I just kind of wanted to share stuff, and I thought, if I get 15 views, okay, great. I'm gonna do like 10 shows, 15 shows tops. And if nobody watches it, I'm going to delete it and pretend it never happened. But here I am 111 episodes later. Technically, it's like 115 because a few of them just didn't broadcast well. And I spend a lot of time on this channel. I actually choose to do this versus other things, like playing my bass or other things. But I think it's beneficial, and so you people respond, and I guess it is. So I'm just really saying thank you. You'll notice that I started doing the reaction videos on the gurus, which I really enjoy doing. I know I've stirred the pot of controversy there, and that's part of why I just want to do an episode like this. We're just like low key. I'm not like a really bad guy, and I'm not super critical either. I just wanting to people to think. That was actually a recommendation from one of you. Someone said, can you do something on Osho? Osho, so controversial. So I said, yeah, let me think about that. And I'd been wanting to do reaction videos for a while, and then but I didn't have the technology, or I hadn't figured out how to make it happen. So I was like, Okay, let's do it. That was the motivation, but I wasn't ready to do it. I didn't even know if anyone would care. So I just started doing it on like John DeRuiter and Mother Mira, and I've had a few people I love. Santosha Tantra, please check her videos out. She's awesome. I ended up buying a book by Mother Mira. I did one on Rudvananda, and the thing is I bought a book and I can't find it. No joke. I bought one of Rudvananda's books. While I'm doing the podcast, I ordered it on Amazon, and I can't find it. I have no idea what happened to this book. If I accidentally got rid of it or if it's like underneath something. My girlfriend and I have so many books. Isn't that horrible? I bought a brand new book and I have no idea where I did it. No joke, no joke. I'm so embarrassed by that. That just makes me feel so foolish. I may have tucked it someplace. I don't know. So that's been an interesting journey, and I do plan to continue that journey. And at some point, I am going to do Osho. I'm also going to do Adida, who I'm a former devotee of, and I'm often critical of him, and I've watched a lot of his stuff, so it's going to be hard to find something I don't know. I'm also going to do Sri Dharmacharya, the guy who I really like, who I kind of not follow, but I follow. I'm going to do it. Plan to do a lot more of those, but mixing up with other things. So, so please stay tuned for that. The comment just came through about a book by Osho. So I actually have a book, and I can't see it here, so I can't tell you the name of it. I just bought it. I was in New York back in March. It's a collection of things by him. And I bought a book by him with the plans to read the book before I do the show. Uh, it's a collection of stuff that seems to look at social issues. Matter of fact. Um, More so than just spiritual issues. I can't. It's over there on the shelf, but it's more social stuff. And I thought, I don't know if I'm gonna like him. I'm not. I've watched the Netflix special, and I've seen things from him. So there's this skeptical thing in here. Skepticism is healthy. But I saw this, and I went, okay, maybe I will or will not like him or appreciate him. But here's a book of topics that are interesting to me. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Does that make sense? It's like instead of just reading anything by him, I tried to find something that isn't in line with my normal interests. Uh, to, I want to be fair and give him the best thing. So, um, wow, I just got the comment. I still have 10 to 15, I guess, books by Osho. I prefer the original Rajneesh. I just sold 22 copies of the original newspaper, the Rajneesh Times, from the ranch in Oregon. So I will tell you, maybe this will be one of the last thoughts here. I sometimes feel there is a difference between Rajneesh and Osho. I haven't read that much. I don't know, but it just feels like it's like Adi Da was Franklin Jones and Bubba Friedjon, and then Da, the Da revelation, and I often say Franklin and Bubba Friedjon are interesting, but something happens after to the teachings. And whatever, I'm an ex-devotee, so I already have had animosity, but something happens, and sometimes I feel like there's Rajneesh and there's Osho, and I've seen the books on the shelf that say Rajneesh on them, and then I see the books that say Osho. I don't know. I haven't read enough. I don't know, but I have one. Sorry, I can't see the title of it from here. So interesting, you would say. The Rajneesh. What was I about to say? I was going to say something. Oh, I'm a stamp collector. I know it's geeky, but my brother gave me a stamp collection when I was 5 years old that came from his uncle, who actually played, Uncle Al, played lap steel with Johnny Cash back in the 1950s. So when I was given the stamp collection, I was like, oh my God. And then I've continued to collect stamps all my life. I know it's totally geeky. It's an old man's hobby, but my best stamp is I have stamps of all the presidents, the U.S. presidents, except for Biden. I stopped with Trump. My prized possession is a stamp of the president of that country, the Confederate States of America. I have a Jefferson Davis stamp from our Civil War. I also have a couple stamps from Ukraine during World War II with Hitler on them. I have a stamp of the dictator of North Korea before Kim Jong, whatever his name is right now, his father. I'm really interested in those. I have some Russian stamps for early century, well, obviously post Lenin, but early stuff. I love stuff like that, sort of like the Axis powers and our enemies. So I have some of those, and that I've paid okay money for. But along with stamps, I have envelopes. Sometimes they're just envelopes that people have sent, and other times they're first day issues. And I actually have one from Oregon, from the Rajneesh group, and it has someone's spiritual name on it, and then it has their real name, and and there's like stamps of, and it's really really interesting. I don't have it handy, otherwise I would pull it out. Um, but I found this in a collection of it was a divorce stuff, some documents I came across from a divorce like 20 years ago, and it had been mailed. The husband was a member of the Rajneesh group, and all of this was being put into the garbage. And I was just like, I didn't keep anything else, but it was just that envelope which said, and it was like, oh my god! And as soon as I saw that, I was like, Rajneesh, oh my god, this is so utterly cool. It was like, wow, this is so cool. It's been sitting in a basement for 20, 30 years, whatever it is now, and so I took that and tucked it away. So I have something of it. It's just really, I don't know. It just felt like I was touching something that had been, I don't know, blessed by this community. Does that make sense? I don't know. Sometimes I get excited about things like that. I don't know. One of these days I'll do a reaction video. But yeah, I have an envelope from the Rajneesh community, and it's really cool. Um, it's really cool. Um, so don't know where that came from, but that's the type of show it is today. So you know what? With that, I'm going to bring this to a close. I'm going to say a big thank you. I've already said profusely thank you. Um, Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching my shows. Check out my website. Check out the roundtable I'm doing tomorrow with some other folks who you might be interested in. Bearded Mystic, who's hosting this, is an Advaita Vedanta guy. He's very intelligent. Um, and yeah, with that, I'm going to go eat lunch. I've got some stuff to do. I'm going to play my bass. Thank you for your comments, Prop Station, and Angelo. It means a lot to me. And I will catch all of you later on. So have a good day, my friends. Be well. Thank you for letting me into your life. Thank you for hanging out with me. um, and all the best to you in your spiritual journey, in your spiritual life, and your ups and downs. We're all in this together, and I am happy to share what I can, and we can learn together. And yeah. So, Jai Shri Krishna. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Shri Krishna Sharinam Mama.